So, Simuk.
Yes.
Guess what?
What?
The Chinese are taking over Amazon.
Oh my God. Again? Actually, this is the first time, isn't it?
Absolutely. Something very interesting. Before we hit the road, I went to this thing, I was invited as a speaker to this thing called the Cross-Border Summit. And I learned some pretty interesting kind of insider info there. So let's go on the road and talk about it.
Let's find out. Okay.
So, Simuk.
Yep.
Do you buy anything off Amazon?
Actually, I bought my lens for my camera off Amazon.cn. And I buy stuff off Amazon every time I go back to visit home because it's super convenient. I love it. It's great.
Okay. Anyway, what we're going to be talking about here is third-party sellers on Amazon.
Okay.
So, if you wanted to basically, you know China.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you were in America right now, and you kind of wanted to start selling some products from China,
right?
What would you have to do?
Well, if I was going to sell products from China, first I would have to go on Alibaba.com and then apply to some of these factories for samples. First, I'm going to have to do market testing for those samples because I got to make sure that they're not some piece of shit, you know, chintzy little thing. Like I bought bulk stuff off there before. One time I bought 100 USB drives and all of them were broken. So you got to obviously order some shit first and then product test it. Make sure it's okay and then put in your big order, right? But it takes a long time and you got to go through customs, and a lot of times stuff gets stuck there, right? A lot of times things like on the Chinese side, if you don't know anyone, you're probably going to get the lower end version of said product because quality control is pretty bad here. Anyway, by the time the product shows up at your door, you've paid a lot more money than you would if you were here domestically, and you might not get what you wanted. So that's pretty much how it goes down.
Okay, now I got to give you some insight as to, you know, why I'm talking about this. I was at that cross-border summit.
Right.
And it's basically people that live in Hong Kong or overseas or in Asia somewhere, and they're doing business with China.
Okay.
A bunch of people doing presentations. And the one guy did this really, I'm going to stick up his image here to give him some credit. And he does watch our videos.
Okay, cool.
He gave some pretty good insight into all this.
Okay.
And yeah, just like you said, if you're going to start a business, maybe out of your basement or whatever, you first need to do all this stuff like contact a factory, get samples in. They normally want like some kind of minimum order quantity anyway. You get your samples in, they look crap, you send them back. It's very costly, it's very time consuming. It'll take you about 2 to 3 months to finally get the product that you want.
Yeah.
And then you bring in, say, like 100 of these things to test the market.
Right.
And then if you sell out of them, then you can order more and it takes ages.
Right.
Okay. But if, for instance, my wife wanted to start selling on Amazon.
Yeah.
All she needs to do is call up her friends who own a factory, because, you know, your wife as well, right? Like all of your Chinese friends, they all know people who run factories, right?
Of course. Especially down here.
So, yeah, so she just phone up her friend who runs a factory, kind of hop on a bus, you know,
right,
or take a taxi or whatever, and get to the factory the same day.
Yeah.
Go and look at the products, see the products that she wants, check out the quality, make a deal. Because she's Chinese, because she knows the person, they're not going to try rip her off.
Right.
So she'll get a very good competitive price. And they'll probably like give her a sample right then and there. Well, she can just look at the product, so you don't need to go through
she
that
can try them out.
Yeah, you don't need to go through that whole initial process.
Right.
And she could theoretically have like a container worth of this stuff to ship off in
Very
less than a week.
Right.
Like less than a week.
And
so,
because she's domestically here in China, she'll probably not have to deal with like really bullshit customs things that we've had to go through.
Absolutely, and they know the loopholes. They know how to get around it. So, number one, that's the ease of getting into being a third-party Amazon seller here in China is so much easier, right?
Yeah.
I mean, getting the products, sourcing the products.
Right.
So this recently came to light because in America, I don't think people have to disclose where they live, right?
Yeah, it's anonymous.
Yeah, it's anonymous. But in Europe, they have to disclose where the sellers come from.
Right, so they have to say it's China if they're selling from here.
They recently did this little study, and it shows that like 25% of third-party sellers are coming from China at the moment.
Wow.
In most countries, some even more. I think Spain is 28%, some other countries more, some less, but there's a huge percentage of the online sellers, the third-party sellers, are coming from China.
Yeah.
And I can only guess that in America it's probably more.
Absolutely, especially with that anonymity, you know.
Yeah. And there's another massive advantage Chinese people have here, and that is they have access to like incredibly good shipping, very cheap shipping.
Yeah.
And these massive sort of almost cities that are built up around this. So, you know, when you're sitting in your basement at your house, you've got maybe, I don't know, a couple hundred items at most.
Yeah.
And you're going to run out very quickly. Over here, they can literally, because it's so cheap to ship across the country here, they can go and set up a warehouse, and they can have like tens of thousands of things available like at a moment's notice. Or if they've got good, you know, connections with the factory, they can get a whole shipment of things made in like a couple days. So they have access to this massive network of, you know, making stuff and having stuff, and at almost no cost to them. So they've got a massive advantage.
It's a big advantage. It actually happens quite often around China. There's whole cities in Zhejiang that will only make buttons or only make toilet seats, and that's kind of how business works here. And like you said, it's a huge advantage because they have this one kind of empire that does this stuff really efficiently, right? Now, the thing that I wanted to bring up, and the thing that, I mean, a lot of people will probably look at this headline and say like, oh, they're taking our jobs and opportunities and stuff. And the reason I think there is a little bit of unfairness to this is because what they did is Amazon set up here, right?
Amazon.cn.
Amazon.cn. Now, the thing is, if I go on Amazon.cn, all of the search results for the stuff in America or abroad are not there, right? It's only stuff I can buy in China or a seller that will be able to export it properly, right? Now, when I bought my lens for my camera, they had to import it from the US. And then I had to pay shit tons of like fees, right? All kinds of like border goods fees, electronics fees, all this kind of stuff. Anyway, long story short, they have this website for their own stuff for domestic sales. And the issue is that recently they made it impossible for someone on Amazon.cn, so us, right? Foreigners that don't have a Chinese ID, which is 99.999% of foreigners don't have Chinese ID cards. So you can't register an account anymore to pay. Number two, if you want to buy something now, not like when I use my credit card, my Visa from back home, now you have to use a Union Pay or a Zhifubao, which is Alipay, or a Chinese method of payment. So to shop or sell, and sell is the key word here, because that's what we're talking about, on Amazon.cn, you have to be a Chinese citizen with Chinese bank and credit details. So what the reason I say it's kind of unfair is that they've completely restricted the market for an entrepreneurial foreigner that would want to set up something similar in China, because we do have the connections. We have every connection that a Chinese person does to be able to get factory goods and ship stuff abroad, and we can make some pretty good money, right? Now, a huge thing that happened is that they've cut all of those people off, so they have to go back to the foreigners living here that did import-export have to go back to the traditional methods, and are kind of restricted. And I'd be fair to assume that Taobao and Alibaba is probably the same.
I don't think a foreigner can have a Taobao shop. Everybody I know who does any kind of business like this,
they go through a Chinese person.
They get their wife or their friend or something.
But that kind of sets up a scenario that, you know, a lot of people face, is that if you get a Chinese partner, there's a lot of times that you'll be taken advantage of.
Of course.
And so you're kind of left at the mercy of the Chinese partner when you're trying to do this kind of stuff. So that was my counterpoint to the whole thing, is it's Chinese people are taking advantage of the, you know, an anonymity and the ease of being able to set up shop in a foreign country, even though that they're not residents of that country, and also restricting any potential competition here from foreigners that would want to set up an import business for Amazon in China.
But that's something that the West, when we do business, we rely on good business practice, right? And there are some sort of unwritten rules of good business etiquette. By the way, get on my right side, otherwise I can't see you in the image. So there are some unwritten rules about doing business, like don't take advantage of certain situations, it's not good business, you know, that kind of thing. But Chinese people don't adhere to those business etiquettes because they don't understand them, right? And they don't understand why people wouldn't just, you know, if they could make money, make money.
It's cutthroat.
It's very
They'll
cutthroat.
screw each other over too.
Absolutely, all the time. So from that perspective, of course, if they've got the option to flood the international markets and just kind of grab a big deal, they will. I mean, for instance, one of the speakers at this event was Best Tech, and they even said on Amazon is their biggest revenue. It's a massive company, and apparently all of the power supplies, there was power supplies and something else, apparently Best Tech sells 73% of all power supplies and whatever other thing they were doing.
Wow, really?
Yeah, on Amazon. Like, out of all the power supplies sold on Amazon, 73% of them come from this company.
Wow.
So it's a huge market, and they were turning over like millions upon millions, maybe even billions. I can't remember every year, but you know, I don't listen to numbers in presentations.
Okay.
Too much. But yeah, the thing is, it's huge, and I think most of Chinese businesses that are selling overseas at the moment are all going through Amazon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man, we've got some crazy ass traffic over here.
Yeah, this is not nice, not friendly. Anyway,
yeah,
thought you guys would enjoy that perspective on things that kind of happen day to day here, and things are changing constantly, and sometimes it's not for the best.
All I want to say is that if you want to remain competitive as a third-party Amazon seller, you have to start thinking like Chinese people do.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to start, you know, maybe sourcing something that they can't.
Right,
so maybe
right.
Stop trying to get all your products from China.
Yeah.
Rather go elsewhere, get something that's like locally made, that can't be made here.
Correct.
You know, or have a very good, savvy Chinese person
that
working
you can trust.
with you. Well, yeah, there we go with that problem. You know, working here on the ground. Problem is, again, if you don't know them incredibly well, they'll probably, you know, go and help your competition out and tell them exactly what's selling.
It's not just with foreigners. They'll do it with anyone. I mean, when Vivi worked for TCL, everyone had side businesses and was undercutting each other all the time.
Yeah, so it's not like a China versus foreigner thing.
No.
It's a Chinese business kind of lack of ethics thing.
However, the restrictions I just talked about are kind of anti-foreigner.
Yeah, they are. Well, China's always been very protectionist, and we know this, right?
Yeah.
Like the joint venture stuff that they do, etc., which we're going to talk about in our next episode. But
cool.
I mean, basically, I just wanted to bring this up because I was at that meeting.
Yeah, it's cool insight, man.
That cross-border summit thing, and you know, it was actually pretty fascinating to see because I didn't know about it, and apparently people didn't really know until Europe kind of made it mandatory that you have to disclose where you are selling stuff from.
Cool.
So yeah, cool. So anyway, good luck to all of you Amazon sellers out there. You're up against an army here, so get creative. You know, do some good marketing and stuff, and good luck. So anyway, C-Milk, anything you'd like to tell everybody before we sign off?
Whether you like to, you know, go up against a bevy of Chinese netizens on the internet trying to get their get-rich-quick scheme, or you're just a mom-and-pop shop selling, you know, your milk and sody pops, I implore you to like, comment, and subscribe.
Cool. And whether or not you are having lovely sunny weather over wherever you are, or you see this massive grey, we love you all the same. So, until next time, you know the drill. Stay awesome.